Welcome back to the 2 Minute Warning. Today I'm taking a look at the Minnesota Vikings and giving my top 3 bold predictions to them in the upcoming 2021 season. But before we get into that topic, question for those of you viewing. What do you think the Vikings record will be next year? Do you think it'll be above 500, below 500? Do you think they'll go to the Super Bowl? Whatever you think it is, comment down below and you'll kind of hear my answer throughout. But getting straight into my bold prediction, it does kind of have to do with my first bold prediction, does kind of have to do with their record in the upcoming season. And that's going to be their record being good enough to give this Vikings team a playoff berth. I'm going to say right now, if Aaron Rodgers somehow is not a Green Bay Packer, that is an open floor for the Vikings to win that division. I don't think there's much competition. I don't trust Jared Goff and the Lions. And Justin Fields and the Bears defense won't be easy to play, but I think either playing Andy Dalton, you'll be fine, or Justin Fields. I think the very strong Vikings defense that's going to come back is going to be too much pressure for the rookie to go out there and win the division. So if Aaron Rodgers is gone, of course, this is pending, they don't get a Russell Wilson in return or something. They get a Drew Lock or whoever they're trading for. They don't get an Aaron Rodgers type of player to replace him at quarterback position. Vikings take the division, but even if Aaron Rodgers is there, I still like the Vikings a lot this year. Looking at their defense, to me, it's one of the better ones in the league. Looking at the secondary to start off, it was already pretty good. Harrison Smith's one of the best safeties in the league, and he really doesn't get the recognition he deserves, like a Minka Fitzpatrick, like a Jamal Adams, just because he's not like a loudmouth guy that just attracts attention. However, his skill and play speaks for him, and it's up there with any other safety. Got Xavier Woods. You signed Patrick Peterson, a guy that's up there in age, but with a top Vikings defense that doesn't need him to be the star of the show to carry the defense, he might be able to use his experience, his wisdom, and just his knowledge of the cornerback position to possibly still fight to be a top 10 corner in the league. They went out recently to sign and kind of underrated corner in Bashad Breeland, and up front in the front seven, you got Eric Hendricks, a guy that's just as good as any linebacker, like Harrison Smith at the safety position, but just isn't as loud and really doesn't, scream and attract attention like those other players in the NFL, yet he's just as good as anyone. He's got Anthony Barr behind him. They went out there and got plenty of guys in the third round of this draft, especially to help the defense. You've got Patrick Jones up front to help out Danielle Hunter, who's going to be coming back. They added Dalvin Tomlinson. This is a very good Vikings defense from top to bottom, head to toe. There aren't many weak spots, and it's coached and well organized by a defensive-minded coach and Mike Zimmer. To me, like I said, this is one of the best defenses in the league when healthy and playing at their best. Looking at the offense, it's not bad either. We know how good Jay Jeffers is. He's possibly becoming a top 10 receiver in the league. You can argue that he is. Adam Thielen, he's arguably number one receiver in the NFL, as in, he's a wide receiver number one, not the number one receiver in the NFL, but now he's kind of going to a number two position. That's a good problem to have Adam Thielen as your second best wide receiver on the team. He's very reliable. He has amazing hands. Irv Smith's going to be a much bigger player in this offense. He's going to have a much bigger role. Kirk Cousins, of course, is going to have his highs and lows, in my opinion. It just depends on the game. But I think with the new receiving core getting better, Dalvin Cook being an absolute workhorse in the backfield and getting a better O-line, they got a pretty good steal in the draft, getting Christian Darrisaw in the first round all the way back in the late teens, yet racking up draft capital for the third round pick, and even getting Wyatt Davis at guard in the third round. They address the offensive line. While these rookies might not start day one, they're there to rotate in and out. And to me, this Vikings team, when healthy, has no reason. I don't know if they'll win the division if Aaron Rodgers is there, but they can. They stole a game from Rodgers last year with Dalvin Cook alone. He won it for themselves, in my opinion. Who's to say with a healthy Vikings defense they can't sweep the Packers and win the division? I don't think that will happen, but I think they could win the division. And if they don't, at the bare minimum, I don't see them not getting a wild card spot. Of course, this is all pending them not having a huge injury, a Danielle Hunter not playing, a Kirk Cousins getting hurt. And another reason, Kirk Cousins, them drafting Kellen Mond in the third round is going to put a fire in the ass of Kirk Cousins to play at his absolute best. I don't say his job's on the line, but, the Vikings are planning for the future if it were to be on the line. Therefore, I think Kirk Cousins is going to play the season of his life, hopefully. I think Dalvin Cook's just going to be a workhorse like he is. Justin Jefferson's only going to get better. Irv Smith's only going to get better. And the healthy defense by Mike Zimmer. They don't have any weak spots. This is definitely a playoff team to me. 11 to 12 wins sounds about right. If Aaron Rodgers isn't in the division, we could see this Vikings team go 13-4. But assuming he is, 11 to 12 wins sounds about right to me. 11-6, 12-5, and the Vikings got a wild card spot. Let me know if you guys agree with that one. But going to number 2 on my list, Bold prediction, Danielle Hunter is going to have a career high season in sacks. Looking at the last 2 times he played in 2018 and 2019, he had 14.5 sacks each season. And there's a number of reasons why I think he will top that. A, he's hungrier. He hasn't played in a year, and he wants this money thing figured out. He wants his money from the Vikings. He's one of the best pass rushers in the league. He should be paid like one. Either he wants to put up high numbers to prove he's worth it, or he wants to put up high numbers to make a trade to go to a team that will prove he's worth it. B, he's on a good Vikings defense that can back him up. Like I already said, they drafted guys, especially in the 3rd round, Patrick Jones. They added guys, Dalvin Tomlinson in free agency. In the front 7, Eric Hendricks and Anthony Barr aren't exactly pass rushers, but to have a strong linebacker core behind you to, no offense can focus a specific weak spot on this Vikings team to kind of separate them. There's strong suits everywhere, and that's going to help out Danielle Hunter. And another reason, there's a 17th game this year. That's a huge factor that's going to break not just a career high for Danielle Hunter, but it might break the career high for a lot of people. It might break records for a lot of players. I think the single season passing yards is going to go up with the extra game. Maybe not this year, but in time. Single season passing touchdowns, single season rushing yards. We might see a receiver get 2,000 yards. A lot of players, I think, will eventually have career highs as they get used to this 17th game because they have a whole extra game to back it up. So like I said, for a number of reasons, he's going to be hungrier. He hasn't played in a year. He wants to prove that he's worth what he wants. He is worth what he wants, but he wants to go out there and prove it for sure for the face of the league to see it, not just the Vikings themselves. And he's on a good defense, and he's got the extra game. To me, he's arguably a top 5 pass rusher in the league at the edge position. To me, he probably is, assuming he's completely fine, not playing a year. He's still in shape, and I'm sure he is, but, I'm just being extra critical. I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to get his money's worth. And like I said, I think he's going to have a career-high season in sacks. 14.5 sacks isn't an easy number to top, saying the season sack leader last year in 2020 was TJ Watt at 15. But I think with the help around him, with, the circumstances of them being a playoff team, a big pass rusher, get a lot of sacks is kind of what you're going to expect out of a playoff team that has one of the best defenses in the league. And therefore, I think all those add up to Danielle Hunter having the best season so far and proving what he's worth. So let me know if you agree with that one as well. I'm a big fan of Danielle Hunter and this Vikings defense, if you can't tell. 3rd on the list, so this is also a big favorite player of mine on this Vikings team. Dalvin Cook is going to put himself in the conversation to be the number 1 running back in the league. A lot of people understand that Dalvin Cook's a tier 1 running back. A lot of people have him the 2nd best, 3rd best, 4th best, but no one, I feel like, even mentions him as, is Dalvin Cook the best in the league? It always goes back to Derrick Henry, and no discredit to Derrick Henry, I get it. Or it goes back to, healthy Christian McCaffrey rushed for 1,000 yards, caught 1,000 yards. And I understand that. I get the argument that Dalvin Cook's the 3rd best in the league, and there's no discredit to him. It's not too bad to have the 3rd best running back in the league on your team, but this guy should really be in the talks of number 1. Looking at Dalvin Cook over the years, he's gotten better every single year. Rushed for 354 yards his rookie year. He only played 4 games, but at that time, it looked like, this was when he was drafted with Kareem Hunt. It's like, which one of these 2 players are going to win rookie of the year? It was about to be insane. Fortunately, he got hurt. Next year, he increases yards to 615. Again, only played a limited amount of games. But then in 2019, he started turning on, ran for 1,100 yards. And this past year in 2020, in just 14 games, Dalvin Cook rushed for 1,557 yards. Over 14 games, I think that's insane, saying he was the 2nd league leader in rushing yards last year, only behind Derrick Henry. If Derrick Henry wasn't around, Dalvin Cook would be the unanimous number 1 running back in the league last year. And again, I'm not trying to just exclude Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook and say he should be better than him, but I think he is pretty much on the same par as him. If you look at the, circumstances around him, you could argue that Derrick Henry has to play or gets to play weaker teams in the Texans and Jags 4 times a year between the two. Whereas, the Vikings get to play the Lions, but compared to 4 times a year versus twice a year, that's a big factor. And you could argue that the Tennessee Titans have a much better offensive line than the Vikings, and I think the Vikings will get better after they addressed it in the NFL draft, especially with Darrisaw. But I'm just saying, over the past year in 2020, Dalvin Cook has performed just as well as Derrick Henry in my mind. When you consider if the circumstances were even and fair, Dalvin Cook would be just as good, if not better. Those 1,557 yards, I looked at it, would have been the league leader over the past 4 or 5 years up until 2016. Derrick Henry led the league last year in 1,540 yards. Dalvin Cook this year, 1,557. He already topped Derrick Henry's league-leading rushing yards in 2019 in just 2020 in just 14 games. That's impressive. Dalvin Cook, he really needs to be in the number one running back situation. I think he will with the better O-line, with the better team around him, and I expect him to already be a top 3 running back, but top 1 I seriously think could be on the way from him. And he's got a good backfield behind him. Alexander Mattison, that obviously might take away reps from him, but I'm just saying to have a good backfield, to have a dual threat to throw off defenses they're playing could go in a favored way to them as well. I seriously think he could carry a team just like Derrick Henry, but we'll just have to see. Top 3 is good enough for now. It's not like he sucks. I'm still giving him credit. I'm just saying he should have even more and possibly will be in the number 1 conversation in 2021. But as always, guys, comment down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Again, the bold predictions were Vikings to the playoffs. Dalvin Cook is going to fight to be number 1 running back in the league, and Danielle Hunter is going to have a career-high season in sacks. Again, comment down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? And referring back to the question of the day, what do you expect the Vikings record to be in the upcoming season? To me, like I said, 11 to 12 wins sounds like the perfect spot for them, but we'll just have to see how it pans out. As always, and of course, guys, thanks for watching. 2-minute warning.